Welcome to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. Mr. Barber is a preacher, a ventriloquist, a barefoot runner, and writes 2 blogs. When Jerrie communicates, he encourages people, try not to learn very much. Find a mustard seed. In the next few minutes, try not to learn very much. Look for something you can do to move a mountain, remove a stumbling block, or provide a stepping stone for yourself or someone else. And now, here's Jerrie with this week's mustard seed.
In this episode, I discuss guidelines for productive discussions about powerful things. You can't have a church meeting here. It always gets out of hand. I'd be afraid to address these things with the church. You can never tell what people say in a group, and so we don't communicate. People are already frustrated because we haven't communicated. We decide not to communicate because people are frustrated. Then they get more frustrated because we're not communicating. Many discussions, classes, and especially meetings where there's conflict, break up or become unproductive. It may be that the leaders don't know the value of guidelines. Amos asks, "Can 2 walk together unless they are agreed?" We don't have to agree on everything, but if you and I travel together from Nashville, Tennessee to St. Louis, Missouri, we must agree on some things. What time will we leave? What kind of transportation we'll take? Who will drive? The clothes we wear and the foods we eat along the way can be individual choices, but we must agree on the basics of the trip. Family rules are often unconscious, unspoken, understood, and contradictory. That means we rarely think about our rules and usually don't discuss them, but people pay a price when they disobey them. I think having our rules conscious, spoken, and understood is better. Then we can evaluate and change them if it'd be helpful to the group, family, congregation, business, or softball team. I use a form of these guidelines whenever I lead a group. Counseling, workshops, auditorium Bible classes, preachers' workshop stress sessions, congregational family meetings, or conflict resolutions. Many conflicts arise because individuals in the group are playing by different rules. I'll discuss the ideas behind the guidelines. James Jones introduced these concepts to me. I watched him in counseling sessions, classes, and leadership workshops. It was amazing how stress went down when I knew the boundaries. It was safe when I played by the rules and believed that others would do the same or be held accountable for not doing so. These guidelines need to be negotiated, not commanded. Simply reading them to a group will not get buy-in. I like discussing them and explaining why they contribute to group health. I take about 10 minutes with a group where most people are familiar. I take about an hour and a half to negotiate these guidelines on a Saturday church meeting during a conflict intervention workshop. The rules will be discussed in 2 episodes. The first rule: may I be the leader of the group? I need the group's permission because I only lead those who permit me to be the leader. I may have the authority. My name may be on the brochure or church letterhead as preacher, elder, Bible class teacher. But if the group doesn't permit me to be the leader, I'll not lead. How much authority does Jesus have? All authority in heaven and earth. How many people is he leading? Jesus is only leading those who permit him to be their leader. Many are invited, but only those who desire take the water of life freely. He wanted Jerusalem to follow him and enjoy his protection, but they were not willing. I don't have the authority of Jesus. I'll not be the leader of the group if the group doesn't permit me. Will we start on time? We penalize those who come on time when we wait for latecomers. Will we quit on time? This helps the group learn to operate within limits and boundaries, especially in a workshop setting. That's the way the world operates. It's a good practice since it respects everyone's time. Will we speak one at a time? If we're working as a group, I disrespect the group in general and the person speaking in particular when I begin a private conversation with my neighbor. It should be shared with the group if it relates to the group. If it doesn't relate to the group, it can be held until a break. This has been the most difficult rule for me to enforce as a leader. I've been leading the third Monday workshop stress session, which comprises preachers, elders, youth ministers, and other interested Christians in the Nashville, Tennessee area since the fall of 1988. I've come to the group 3 times to suggest that we agree to dispense with this guideline because it's often violated. It's embarrassing for me to call account preachers and elders older than me and have more education than me for talking when they agreed not to speak. However, the group assured me it was important to the group process each time. We still have the guidelines. They seem to have been better since we had that discussion. Will we talk where others can hear, or will we speak softly and in small groups where others won't know what's being said? This is a follow-up to the previous guideline. Unauthorized subgrouping will destroy the group. It drains energy and attention when some don't think the person speaking has anything as valuable to say as what they're saying. Will each person speak for himself or herself, or will we speak for others such as they, them, everybody, and for God as well? How often have you heard, a lot of people are upset, or several unhappy with the preacher? When asked for names, they often reply, well, I can't tell you who they are, but there's a bunch. I like the guideline, I'll speak for me, you speak for you, and let God speak for God. Unless you've been elected to the House of Representatives or the Senate, you don't have permission to represent anyone in this group except yourself. I don't know who several are. I don't know how many are in a bunch. I'll be interested in hearing your thoughts, and I'll value what you say. Will we have the right to all our feelings, the painful and the pleasant? Some people are convinced that there are good feelings and bad feelings. There are pleasant feelings and painful feelings. However, I believe all our emotions are given to us by God and are good for us. I need to be responsible for how I act on my emotions, but they're all helpful. I usually mention the 4 feeling groups: mad, sad, glad, and scared. We can be sad. We have tissues if you need to cry. If Jesus can cry, I can cry. We can be scared and talk about that. We have a right to be angry. Jesus was angry. Therefore, it must not be sinful. Paul said to be angry and not sin. You have a right to be angry. You have a right to be angry with me. You can talk about being angry with me. However, you do not have a right to hit me or tear up the furniture. There's a difference in what we feel and what we do with our feelings. We can be glad and laugh. There's a qualification for that, which is included in the following guideline. Do you want to have a rule that will not make fun of what people say in this group? We can laugh with people, but not at people. How can I know if we're laughing with or laughing at? The first test is to see if the other person's laughing. I can't laugh with someone who's not laughing. I may need to ask the person being discussed if it feels like we're laughing with or at him. Solomon said, sorrow may hide behind laughter, and happiness may end in sorrow. This brings us to the following rule. May I, as a leader, have a right to interrupt. If I have questions, I'll ask the person who is the focus of the laughter, does it feel like we're laughing with you or at you? Several years ago, I was leading a group. After an elder's wife had made a comment, someone said, ha, 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 that's the way the Yankees are. The group laughed. I asked her, does it feel like we're laughing with you or at you? She replied, we've been living here 14 years and worshiping with this congregation. We've taught Bible classes. We've been involved in the work. It'd really feel good to be just a Christian, a member of this church, and not a Yankee Christian. We learned a lesson that night. Will we have a right to disagree with each other? In several decades of leading groups, I've always gained permission for disagreement. I've always said that if I ever get into a group where we can't disagree, I want to talk first. because I like my opinions better than anyone else's, but I wouldn't learn very much. Will we settle group business in the groups, or will we get into small groups afterward and talk about each other? Polarizing begins when we start talking about each other instead of to each other. If it's group business, it needs to be addressed in the group. Please listen to the episode next week for the rest of the topic.
Thank you for listening to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. If you found a mustard seed, send a text or email with the link to a friend. This podcast was brought to you by Jerrie Wayne Barber, sales manager with AmeriPro Roofing. AmeriPro Roofing has been around since the year 2000 and has had an office in Franklin, Tennessee for the last 10 years. We have installed well over 200,000 roofs nationwide and are excellent at replacing roofs, gutters, and siding. We are reasonably priced and outstanding at working with your insurance, which helps minimize your out-of-pocket expense. If you would like a free inspection of your roof and other exteriors, please call Jerrie Barber at 931-628-3390 for an appointment in Middle Tennessee. AmeriPro Roofing. Standards through the roof. Thank you for listening. Jerrie looks forward to next week as we continue to collect and plant mustard seeds.